Um. That's weird. All right. Let's jump here. Okay. So I'm gonna be pulling people in. Second. Okay. 1 second, everyone. Okay. Hello. Hi.
How's it going? How's it going?
Hey, thank you for being here. Hello. Okay, so we got a group of individuals here. Let's get started. Get you guys on screen. Right.
I'm sorry, I don't have a webcam because, like the jock that I am, I believe that will steal my soul.
Okay. Anyone else? Do you have the webcam Killdozer?
Never mind. Closet can't shut.
Sorry, what? I didn't hear what you said.
Fucking horrible.
Killdozer? I didn't hear. Like your audio was. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, just fix that. Yeah, I'll be on in a second.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Are we waiting for one more? I was told by Toyola there was one more person.
There was supposed to be some more, but we haven't been able to get in contact with some of them.
Okay.
Yes, it seems the nerds are unreliable, aren't they?
Shut the fuck up.
One is in a drunken stupor right now, and the other had to go to work.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Like a nerd.
Oh, the nerds are employed? Say less.
Yeah, because you got tricked.
Got tricked.
A real jock would let society hand everything to him on a silver platter.
Okay.
The true Chad is to be a fucking otaku shut up in their fucking apartment.
Wow. Okay. I think this will be a lot of fun. So I guess I'll start introducing people here. First, introducing yourself. If I know any of you people, I don't know any of you. So we'll start with Big Lundy. Hello. Hi. How are you?
Hi. Big Lundy. I am a Diamond TFT player, so nerd cred established right there. As well as a podcaster alongside Napalm here. We do the Goat Pen podcast that you can find on YouTube. And also I stream D&D games on my Twitch, if anybody likes those things.
Okay.
You forgot about the voice acting stuff, you dork.
Yeah, but like I don't really do a whole lot of that yet. So
don't matter, promote the nerd resume.
I am also a voice actor.
Fantastic. I can see it. You've got like a beautiful, deep, manly voice, right? Which is belied by everything else you said. But thank you so much. Okay. Next we have a Dark APAC. Dark APAC, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Dark APAC. I'm a computer software engineer and a system administrator. I don't really do a whole lot of streaming, but I play a whole lot of games and I make quite a bit. So I'm on the side of the nerds. See where we go with this.
All right. Thank you. Next, we have Killdozer. Are you ready to talk? Introduce yourself?
Yeah, I got you. So I'm a political science student, heavily involved in academia, so of course I'm going to be on the side of the nerds. I think that's like, I don't know how you're going to do this, Napalm. I don't know how you can argue against jocks, against the nerds on this one.
Okay. Well, I mean, you already fucked up, so he's just going to capitalize on that, you know.
Facts. Right there.
Nerds can't even pronounce words correctly, you know.
And last but not least, we have the man of the hour. We have Napalm. So Napalm will be doing, it seems, 1v3 against these individuals. And Napalm, well, first introduce yourself and then introduce the topic.
Yes, I've gone by many names as Lundy knows because of my antics on YouTube in the past, but yes, I'm a
Forget this, Lundy.
podcaster along with Lundy, and I'm here to open everybody's eyes to the fact that letting the nerd gain their revenge against the jock has plunged us into this modern age of fucking awfulness that we experience today.
Indeed.
Because the jock might have been a cruel master, but they were a fair master.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Well, then
Getting some great terminology off rip.
let's just get started from there. All right. So, guys, any one of you can rebut them.
Okay, so Matt, we need to get started here with like some basics. Okay, now you postulate that at some point in the past, the nerds took over from the jocks. At some point, can we nail down at what point exactly that happened?
Yes, exactly. I can. It was when one caveman looked over to the other and asked him what happens after we die.
Okay, so in essence, as far as society is concerned, the jocks have never been in power. Then is what you're saying?
No, because they promptly beat that one to death. And then they worshipped his skull.
But I'm asking you, at what point did the nerds beat the jocks and take over? That's what I'm asking.
And maintain it to this point. What was the last cycle?
I'd say the 90s.
Okay.
It really
so has it been coming back? Has it been going
in the
back and forth then?
With the advent of Silicon Valley and the whole lie that Silicon Valley will save the future, when in all in reality that it's ever gotten us is shitty electric cars and Bitcoin and monkey pictures.
Oh, okay.
So has it been going back and forth then? Have the nerds and the jocks constantly been switching power over time?
Yes,
then?
and at some points we've worked together, like the founding of this great country we live in today.
So let's go back. I want you to give me the first, as far as you know in history, the first jock-controlled civilization that was good.
I would say Sumer.
The Sumer. Okay. I admittedly, I know nothing about the Sumers. So this is the ancient Sumerians. I know nothing about them.
Gambit, bitch.
Hey, I'm gonna. Either one of you two. Do you know anything about the Sumerians?
I've got very little on the Sumerians.
Well, fuck.
I was going to ask him what would be a more, out throughout history. Who was it that before, since the founding of this country was mixed? Who before that, what organization or government before that was actually jocks?
Well, monarchy is a jock form of government.
Oh,
so
monarchy.
I would disagree with this heavily. I would think monarchy is more of a nerd form of government. Philosophy.
No, eventually because you have the law of fail sons, right? Eventually you get diminishing qualities in terms of genes. So eventually the jock bloodline will turn into the nerd bloodline through incest.
Okay, but then at what point do we get a queen?
Not to spoil a lot of things, but that's going to be a very big part of my dissertation here on why nerds suck.
Okay, but
sexuality.
All right, Matt, I'm going to ask you real quick. At what point does one reach pure jock blood? What is that pure energy that creates that?
Actually, you know what, Lundy? I'm going to go even further back, thinking about the Neanderthals were the first jock society. Killing fucking woolly
Does that
mammoths
count as a society?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
They had organized groups. They buried their dead. They fucking made
this is all structure. This is all structure. This comes from good ideas. Ideas are from nerds. How is it the jock system?
Ideas are not necessarily from nerds, my friends. How do you think football plans get thought up? It's not the nerds doing that shit.
I disagree. It is generally nerds. Have you seen movies concerning this subject? It is usually nerds.
Hollywood propaganda. Also,
listen. No. Napalm, you're talking about the statistics. You're talking about people who analyze statistics, put the numbers together, find out what the best plays are.
Speaking as a former football player, I can tell you it is nerds who come up with the plays. It is nerds who come up with all the various statistics. It is nerds who come up with how to train, all these sorts of things. They figure out all of this shit and then tell the jocks, and the jocks go, okay, and then they do it. That's how it works.
Football with fucking like their fantasy Dungeons and Dragons bullshit and fucking statistics.
Okay, real quick, you can't reference Dungeons and Dragons as being nerdy because you yourself are a Dungeons and Dragons player, so you can't.
And
You're
I
not allowed
hate
to do
it.
that. Yeah, well,
I
yeah,
can't do
you
it.
still do it. You still do it. So,
Lundy,
He's a
you told me
masochist.
before. You told me before this you were going to bring up like drugs.
no, somebody else said they were going to bring up drugs. And yes, I am aware of your position on that as well.
I'll bring up drugs right now. Nerds make steroids.
Yeah, and guess what? I would fucking sacrifice every drug on this planet tomorrow for one day of genuine happiness. I hate that I have to be addicted to this shit. I hate that the fucking nerd god Elohim is fucking too much of a coward to come down here and smite me like a man. He has to fucking trick me into fucking poisoning my body like a coward, like a nerd.
So
Okay.
I'm a little bit lost at this point in time as to what your definition of
Welcome to the
jock
rest of this
is.
debate.
Welcome to the.
It's whatever I damn well please.
Wait, so what is your definition of nerd?
Like
Again.
answer, same as the verb first.
I have no idea what the hell I'm arguing.
No, congratulations.
Yeah,
you're
okay,
you're caught
come
up
on,
with the
yeah.
rest of us.
Okay, so we're gonna need something more concrete so that we can argue against, right? Like if not, then it's just like nothing. We're arguing nothing here.
Yeah.
So are you saying that a jock was basically anyone who ruled through strength, right? Through the through what they could either take with their bare hands, right?
That was
or
an
like
aspect.
raise an army to do. And then nerds
It's
are
more about self-actualization. Like jocks will self-actualize. Like a jock will be like, I want to fucking do a thing. And then they will do that thing. They will raise an army. They will fucking fucking sail the sea. They'll fucking go to the moon.
okay, but
All of
so
the
you're
things
saying,
you named are probably nerds.
Yeah, and you said go to the moon. You think that was done by jocks?
Yeah.
Get 100. Who the fuck do you think they threw into those fucking moon capsules? It wasn't the nerds.
It was
the
possibly
jocks.
no.
'Cause
You're
the nerds
right.
were too fucking scared
You're
to go
right.
to the moon because they
No.
thought a space dragon would eat them. But those fucking jocks like Buzz Aldrin, they'd fucking punch a goddamn moon dragon.
All right, so I will give you the credit. Now Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong were extremely intelligent individuals. I think they both had like master's degree and had great high levels of understanding of physics, and were able to do math on the fly. Like look at for example, the movie Apollo 13 is pretty damn accurate. The astronauts were able to draw out and redo the calculations on the fly on paper, right? Do you call that, is that jock?
Sorry, I muted myself by accident. And yes, it is jock.
Wait, which
Because
part
the
of that
jock-
is jock?
Because the nerds would have just been panicking. The jocks remained cool under pressure, like it was the big.
So you have pigeonholed all nerd behavior is necessarily cowardly, and so any brave behavior exhibited by anybody, regardless of any of their other characteristics, is necessarily jockish.
Yeah, so now we're just arguing cowardly versus brave.
Is that what you're saying, Matt? Yeah, you can't keep muting yourself, Matt.
Look, my tick keeps fucking hitting my mute button. I'm sorry.
I'm afraid to ask what you just said.
It's
so
more than it's more than bravery. It's fucking it's being a man of action, not like this whole fucking like I'm just gonna sit around and fucking just wait.
Okay, what do you mean by just sit around and wait? This is my problem with every argument I ever have with you, Matt, is that you like to get fucking like vague as shit about it so that you can just change your metrics at any one given point. You're not allowed to do that this time, motherfucker.
I am.
I want something solid that I can actually I can see what you're talking
The
about.
main thrust of this is that like all of this modernization shit that the nerds have promised us that will help our future, it hasn't. All it's done is just fucking made us content. It hasn't made anybody truly happy.
Can you name one of these promises that you're talking about? Maybe I can glimmer an idea of what you mean by that from an example.
Why don't we jump to a historical version of what Napalm's talking about here? So I can correct me if I'm wrong, Napalm. I'm trying to conceptualize. You would consider like ancient Sparta like a jock society, and like ancient Athens a nerd society, right?
Yes.
All
Okay.
right. So that's kind of
killing the weak children to ensure that you have a strong military. That is jockish, then.
Although I would say this, the Spartans aren't true jocks for one big reason. A true jock would work their own land.
So jocks not in charge of slavery.
I feel like I could argue this better than you. I feel like I could do a much better job doing this. Even being on the other side of nominally what you're arguing, I feel like I could do that. Okay, all right. So we have a world that was built through strength, right? So like a might means right world.
Right.
Like we have a world that was built through empires, right? Like everything around us, whether we realize it or not, was shaped by those empires. Right? And now, as the recipients of all of that, right, we tend to reject the violence that has shaped our world, has created the size that we live on and that we are generally grateful for. And that is by like scholars looking back and saying, well, now this is wrong. Well, this shouldn't have happened. But there's been a lot of benefits to these empires rising. There's holism. So I'll start there, but we can go deeper than that.
I disagree with this idea that it's always been based on like might makes right and power and strength and all these sorts of things, because this is just a general misnomer of the way in which society generally went. Generally speaking, even in the most like autocratic monarchies that you can find, they allowed for people to make rules and guidelines as to how exactly they're allowed to act. And they kind of had to after a while, especially since if you don't, eventually the peasants start to rise up when they start to feel like they're a little bit too oppressed. So these sort of like genuine rights that are given to people is as a result of the fact that the might makes right sort of deal just never really does work. It always just makes the weak feel like they're being oppressed. And generally speaking, they outnumber the strong. So there's this necessary appeasement that happens, which I believe Matt would refer to as nerdy behavior, honestly.
Also, might makes right never stopped being the case. We still operate in a world of might makes right.
No,
Why do you think the United States
sure.
and China are the top two dogs?
On the, but when you say is it Killdozer?
Yeah.
That on an underlying level, then you mean a foundational level, right? On a foundational level, everything makes right. So the American way, which I tend to disagree with, right? But like truth, justice, and the American way. This idea of America being this beacon of hope only stands if America, doesn't get invaded, right? That this current Western-led world, right, like economy, like that only stands if we have the military might to suppress other competitors, right? Like communism, right? Like beating them in the Cold War, not just militarily, but economically, right? Like, but those two things are tied, right? The military and the economy, in unfortunate ways, but they are tied. So in the end, might makes right. Might allows us to force our will, right, our economic will on other nations, right? Like you are going to trade in this fashion. You are going to buy into the system. You are going to use the dollar to back your currency, right? And if not, there'll be consequences.
Yeah, so in a background level, yes, it's one side of a coin, right? So the other side of the coin is cooperation, and this is, I think, one of the biggest dichotomies that we can work out here is that jocks are going to focus on competition. It's going to be the military competition of like your security arms race, and the nerds are going to focus more on cooperation. That's the other side of what keeps America from getting invaded. We're just too economically central to.
I disagree with these sort of framings. We're trying to push things in directions that I don't think Matt would possibly argue. Cooperation being a necessarily like nerdy type thing is something that he would definitely personally disagree with, just as a result of the fact that jocks regularly form teams on a variety of different things, not just like in governance, but also just in your everyday. I mean,
They may
obviously
form teams, but their overall goal, even when forming those teams, is to eventually compete with that team against another team. Whereas like the nerds make teams to work with other teams to build like systems, to build papers.
Not necessarily. Nerds also create teams to compete.
They can
with other
compete,
teams.
but on average, I'm talking
no,
about,
it's
like,
not
the
just
goal
about
for the
can
jock
compete.
is
The
always
reason
going to be
why
competing against
why they're done in the first place is because they do compete. I mean, when it comes to the space race, that was nerds fighting nerds.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
but, like,
if you look at it, you've got
nerds that used to be in former other teams, i.e., Operation Paperclip.
so with nerds, you're going to have teams that are formed in order to meet the goal. With jocks, you're going to have teams that are formed in order to meet a goal. I mean, as far as like the teams and the cooperation goes, they're identical, just a flip of a coin as to which direction you're looking at it. But I don't know if that's a structure that Napalm would want to argue it with.
So I'll let Napalm speak for himself, but I think to respond to the point Kay was making, the globalized system you have right now of your economy, while it has to be backed by the military on some level, also couldn't exist without the nerds creating the technology to have that globalization.
Yeah.
Sure, but is that necessarily a good thing? I think would be what Matt would say, right?
Yeah, it's a horrible thing. If we just still lived in the age of fucking feudalism, it'd be fine.
So Matt, you're in favor of just top down, one person in charge of everything. That's the strongest person. Very much Plato, Philosopher King sort of deal. Or would you even go with Plato, Philosopher King? Would that be too nerdy for you?
That'd probably be too nerdy for me, unless it's somebody like Diogenes.
So,
true. The only jock philosopher to have
No,
ever
there's
existed.
two more. There's Albert Camus and Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, true.
Okay. So when we're talking about this structure, we're talking about political jocks. You're talking about leaders that are willing to basically fight and kill their opponent in order to supersede their position.
It doesn't even have to necessarily be kill. It's just like they see an outcome, they're able to organize. If they have to resort to violence, they will, and they won't fucking do this nerdy namby-pamby shit of trying to fucking hide it. Like, the jock will embrace his murder. The jock will embrace his theft.
Okay.
So
that's honestly the main thing I idolize about the jock. They are honest. They are living honest fucking lives.
Real quick, Matt, would you consider yourself a part of the jocks, or are you not?
No.
Okay. I just wanted to make that clear.
For the sake of this dumb fucking thing we're doing right now, I will be a jock.
Okay, fair enough.
But it sounds
to me like
weeaboo.
We'll say that.
But
yeah, jock weeb. I'm down with that. I think that perfectly describes Napalm.
But I think that for the sake of this conversation, we're also not talking about population as a whole. We're just talking about political actors. Is that correct?
It's not even political. Like, even you boil it down to like fucking dumb, trivial shit like pop culture.
Okay, so we're talking. So we can actually find the same sort of relevance.
So I think Matt would say that the nerds are the reason why we have created this sort of obsession over celebrities, pop culture, movies, nostalgia,
poisons,
and that all of these things.
That's got to be jocks, though. Jocks are the ones who are like, give me the praise, let me be the center of attention. Nerds are more of the let me make the thing.
Literally, jocks will like wear their Letterman jackets into their fucking 40s, right? Remember
that is true. That is true. They will do that. Well past their prime, well past its relevance.
The sad alcoholic old men.
Al Bundy. Al Bundy was the jock. He's like the jock of the jocks, right? And
you said Al Bundy. I thought you said Ted Bundy for a second. You threw me.
No. Al Bundy, jock of the jocks. I won the Heisman. I ran 80 yards. My 40 years old, could barely
in a single game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's your jock of the jock, right? So if that's who we're talking about, then that's who's going to focus on celebrity culture. It's not going to be the nerds.
There's one problem with Al Bundy, though. If he was truly consumed by the poison of nostalgia, he'd fucking keep pretending that he was that man.
Right. All right. So let's get past that part. And is Al Bundy?
He did. There were several episodes in which he did, Matt.
God.
There was literally an episode where he
Lundy, stop
actually-
helping Napalm derail it. I'm trying to
No,
nail him down on
God,
a
no,
point.
fuck you. Matt doesn't get to just get away with being wrong about things, okay? He literally, there are several episodes in which he got football, he played football, relived his golden years, and was like, I'm still got it.
That was
He
an
still
opportunity.
pretended.
Look, a jock isn't gonna just fucking like not take an opportunity to be happy. They'll take
Okay,
the
so
opportunity. But,
So you're
like,
saying the
here's
jocks
the
are
thing.
all hedonists then?
Here's the thing. No, I'm saying, Lundy, Al Bundy had his fun, and then he moved the fuck on. He didn't become like obsessed with that.
That's just not fucking
That's literally
true.
his character. That's literally his entire character, is that he could not move on from his high school. Like, he brought it up, not like
He keeps
a few
talking about it
episodes.
non-fucking stop. He keeps
Non-stop.
talking about it as like his major achievement that everybody ought to still respect him for.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's literally it. Like, he wasn't proud of his family, right? He had nothing to be proud of there, right? He was proud of literally like his high school football career
peaked.
and nothing else he managed to accomplish.
No,
Look,
like Al
He
Bundy.
looked at his
The thing you should take away from him, and the reason why he's a
His
jock
kids,
idol,
for one.
is
jock
that
idol. Okay, now we got it.
unlike
Jock superstar. Would you be down to say
unlike
that?
a nerd, he didn't crack under the pressure, and he kept doing his miserable fucking. You know, I don't know. I don't remember the last season of it, so I don't know how it fucking ends or whatever. But like, he probably kept doing that awful shoot job until one day he had a heart attack. Instead of doing like a nerd thing, like killing his whole awful family and then himself.
Wow. Okay. Let's
Oh,
go to Jay.
Yeah, that went whole-
this is
that went-
this is extremely
That went a
weird.
little bit
Let's
too
go
far,
to Jay
Matt.
Weird.
Remember,
Let's go to,
this is Twitch.
was it Jay Weird who's the next person to join us? Hello,
Yeah, Jay
hi.
Weir came in last.
Nice to
I
meet
was
you.
only warned about the
Um,
slurs and not the
please-
suicide.
Oh,
I
boy.
apologize for that.
Please introduce yourself, Jay Weird.
Hi, my name's Jay Weird. I'm a bad person, and I woke up really late for this because I took a nap. But you know what? Actually, I did it so that Napalm wouldn't look at me like a bitch nerd, and he would.
Well, I already
he'd
called you
respect
one.
me a little bit more by showing up late because I feel like that's what a jock would do.
I'll be honest, you did get me there.
Yeah, so I just really wanted to. I wanted to start with familiarity between two parties so that we could find common ground, which I think is something a bitch nerd would want. So,
I think we got to nail down what are the unique attributes of a jock versus a nerd, because we haven't. And like you'll say, like, you'll call fucking astronauts like was it jocks, right?
The actual
jocks.
astronauts that went into space are jocks because they don't crack under pressure. They can do all the same
Also, they
things
were
that nerds can
fucking
do,
fight
but they
or
do
flight
so
pilots.
without being scared about it, which I guess is what makes them jocks.
So jocks aren't afraid of book learning, right?
Yeah.
Jocks
it
apparently
helps.
aren't afraid of anything. And if you are afraid of something, you're a nerd.
I think it's incredibly unwise to be unafraid of anything.
Yeah. Well, I
Wouldn't
think
you
it's
say that,
incredibly-
Matt? Wouldn't you say that a healthy dose of fear is like necessary?
If you don't have a
No.
healthy dose of fear, well then the nerds will keep your wife comforted when
Nobody
you
would-
die.
We wouldn't know about this fucking continent if we thought like that, Lundy. Everybody would be like, "Oh, I don't want to fucking."
No. I'm just talking about a healthy amount of fear, Matt. A healthy amount. I'm not saying
Lundy,
fucking
a
be afraid
healthy-
of everything.
A healthy amount of fear would have been like, "Look, we don't know what the fuck is out there. Let's never fucking sail ships into the ocean. Like, it's too terrifying."
But it was the nerds who actually came up with the structure to build the ships. It was the nerds who came up with the structure to build spaceships so that we could explore space. It was the nerds who wanted to promote the exploration. And then it was, in my opinion, nerds who got onto the ships and
No,
went
it was the
to
fucking
space.
jock Canes who fucking funded exploration because they wanted to do dick measuring
Yeah,
contests.
Matt believes that any and all like advancements we've made, just generally speaking, is a result of jocks and nerds like working together, basically, as opposed to like the nerds themselves giving us
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I'm once
So-
again going back to the same question. What is
I mean,
the
this
difference
is
between
how,
a
like,
jock
a
and a nerd? I
fucking-
don't know. It's
This
just
is how a
Napalm.
balanced system
Napalm's like,
works.
if I like it, it's a jock. If I
Yeah.
don't, it's a nerd. And I don't
Yeah.
know how to work with that.
And here's the thing: I'm not advocating fully for like complete jock dominance. The best would be a synthesis. The jock and the nerd working in tandem.
Right. But we're not. We
Which
haven't
would
even
be
gotten
the
to the
We
point
don't
where
live
I
in
know
that world
what those
currently.
terms mean. Let's get to the point where we can talk about what jocks and nerds are, and then we can figure out would these two work together well.
All right,
Let's
Napalm,
hammer-
how many
let's
books
hammer
do
out
you
some
have to
trade.
read to be a jock or to be a
Sorry,
nerd?
I cut out there for a second. Matt, can you tell me what that world looks like?
Like the 60s. We had the jock president telling the space nerds to build the spaceship so the jocks go to the moon and maybe fight the moon dragon. Because
Okay.
that was our last great hope of ever finding fucking dragons, was the moon. And turned out that was a fucking bust.
Well, maybe we'll have more luck when we go to other galaxies. Who knows?
Here's hoping, man.
So, but then like it's that same sort of like technology from that time that ended up getting us all these other advancements that you don't like the fact that we have the internet and we're all interconnected and we're all able to kind of like act as one, so to speak. We're able to be closer to each other than ever,
I don't
regardless of our
inherently hate
distances.
the internet. I hate the internet mainly because it makes everybody, dumb people like myself, think that their dumb opinions are valid and people should be able to hear them.
Oh, you think it's the internet that did that? Not the
No,
Bill of
yeah,
Rights.
That always existed.
Yes,
The internet just made it worse.
Okay.
The internet made it easier for people to just kind of be able to have an opinion, I suppose. Would be
Right,
would
but
be
we
what
could
you're
also
saying.
say that about the telephone and cable TV.
But this is a result of that sort of like that Shangri-La that you're looking for, Matt, of the
Yes,
jocks
but
and the
it's
nerds
like
working
a
together.
pack. Like the internet, unlike telephone, unlike TV, unlike a lot of communication. Like it's the instant gratification. It's like the mouse being able to push the heroin button constantly.
Well, you see, the thing is with the telephone, with the TV, and it would, those things, they took a growth pattern, and their growth pattern was pretty big. It was but the internet was exponentially faster than any of the other two, and we've seen that progressively, right? So we saw the radio, it grew, television grew even faster than the radio, and then internet grew faster than any of them, and that's because it encompasses so many mediums. But eventually we're gonna see the same scale back of the internet, and if there's something that comes out after the internet, we're going to see an even greater growth of that. At least that's the expectation. But all of these things came from nerd ideas that were being pushed by quote unquote jocks, by your definition, which I'm still confused as to what that is.
I am as well, only because like Matt, at one point you'll say that like the Spartans were jocks, but they weren't true jocks because they had slaves. And now, so really considering the fact that was kind of like a homogenous part of history.
All right, let's take one singular person. And
Sure.
like I will define the jock off of them. Ulysses S. Grant.
Okay.
Man of the earth. Worked his way up from nothing.
Writer, poet.
Again, that's what you did back then. Everybody was literally every person was a fucking poet back then, London. 'Cause that's all you
I suppose that
Writer,
flower-
poet, investor, he funded a lot of things.
you went to fucking war, you
At
died
pre-
of typhoid, and you wrote some poetry in between. Them's were the three things you did in your life back then.
So as president, though, didn't he fund the ideas of nerds like Henry Ford and stuff?
And again,
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about the timeline.
Well,
Isn't
that's what he
completely-
wants, though. That's the situation that he wants, is a jock in charge who tells the nerds what they can and cannot do. Encourages them in the jockish interests while still allowing nerds to be nerds. That's what he wants.
Okay. But he would say,
Napalm. Ronald Reagan, nerd, yes or no? Or jock?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
I thought you said that he was
Also-
a jock already.
Also, another thing with because
no,
I
he
will
said
start
Kennedy.
because I will start throwing out like because you guys missed this at the beginning, but I did
forgive
throw
me,
out
it was
the negative
LBJ.
trait of the jock cruelty. I'll throw out another negative trait best justified by Ulysses S. Grant. Corruption. The corruption is not always necessarily a bad thing.
Sometimes you need to bend the rules. We've all seen the action movies.
So sometimes you gotta grease the wheels. Sometimes you gotta turn in your
I'm gonna
badge.
hold you to an answer on that Reagan question.
Yeah, I'm really fucking stalling because I'm like, fuck, like
he's the equilibrium spot.
He might be, because it's like
Because he was an
wants to-
actor from Hollywood, which is definitely nerdy.
nerd.
So here's the thing,
He
Napalm,
was
is like
friends with a monkey.
What?
you're gonna call Jimmy Carter a nerd, no doubt. Like I know you're gonna call Jimmy Carter a nerd, and if you're
Yes,
gonna call Jimmy
100%.
Carter a nerd, then Reagan's got to be a jock.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Reagan is 100% a jock thinking it, because like, man, he broke a lot of rules.
All right, so right there we've got some pretty good terms to work off of. So Jimmy Carter nerd, Ronald Reagan jock.
Also
Okay.
use Ulysses
You-
S.
you
Grant
base it
jock
in
as
that?
well.
Bill Clinton.
Nerd.
Okay, good.
George W. Bush.
Nerd.
No, wait.
What?
You cannot say that George W.
Wait,
Bush
did you
was a
say
nerd. On...
HW or
No,
No,
just
W.
W.
Oh, jock.
Yeah.
All right.
I was gonna
I
say
I
this
thought you
is a
said
dude.
H.
This is a dude who's like getting drunk and driving and like going on benders in college, gets a fucking C average and still becomes president,
Yeah, he owned
and
a
then just
baseball
lies to
team.
people.
All right, so we're gonna probably say Trump jock, right?
That's a hard one.
I want to clear up a misconception that I can already see forming, at least as far as the chat's concerned, Matt. You wouldn't say that just because someone gets laid a lot that makes them a jock, right?
No. Johnny
Okay.
Bravo was a jock.
Yeah, Johnny Bravo was a jock and an incel, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, can you be an incel and be a
Although he
jock?
did get laid
Yes.
twice. Remember, he fucked the werewolf and
I
the
need-
deer.
quick tangent, I need to introduce you to the term gym cell. These are people who go to the gym, who get themselves cut and still believe themselves to be unlovable as a result of their like facial characteristics and things like that. Gym cells are a thing. These are jock incels.
Okay, so idiots.
Yeah.
No, it's like
Yeah.
it's somewhere like the missing step for evolution. It's like they're starting to turn into nerds, but they didn't go the full way, so they stay jocks.
So they're
Okay,
just jerds.
so back to what we were talking about. As far as our last
Or
several
jerks.
presidents are concerned, Matt, jocks and nerds, how would you classify?
Okay, Obama 100% fucking nerd.
Okay, I can buy that.
And jocks are better than nerds, right? So so Bush was better than Obama.
Yes.
So it sounds like we're just gonna say Republicans are jocks and Democrats are nerds.
Not necessarily.
No,
That's a general
fuck
rule.
it.
No, he called-
General rule
The
of it.
greatest
he
jock in
called
American
Clinton a
presidential
nerd.
history was Andrew Jackson. That motherfucker literally took a bullet to the chest in a duel so he could shoot his opponent in the dick.
I know another one that took a bullet in the head for America.
Oh, the
He's a
fucking
Republican.
Hamilton. Oh no, you're talking JFK. Yeah, he
No,
was a
Lin-
jock.
There's a lot of
Oh.
people who got
Yeah,
shot.
Lincoln.
I
Abraham
don't know
Lincoln.
why I went with Hamilton there.
The play was
Well, because you were
fantastic.
already in that time period. You mentioned Jackson. You were just like back in that time.
Yeah, and I was thinking like Hamilton was like one of, like honestly Jefferson was because again going back to fucking Ulysses S. Grant, like he married into a Southern plantation family. His father-in-law literally gave him slaves. Ulysses S. Grant just freed
Right,
him and was like, I'm gonna work the
yeah.
land myself.
We're entirely
Napalm, would you
derailing at
call-
this point.
Would you call
Yeah.
Clinton a jock?
No, he
That's
called
the
Clinton
other.
nerds.
That's the other like.
No, he
thing
already
with
called
the-
No, I called him a
Clinton
nerd. Let's
healthy
get back on it. So
self-reliant-
nerds
Big
versus
stuck in the
so
Oval
now that we
Look,
have
look.
at
Bill
least a
Clinton. Bill
semblance-
Clinton played saxophone. He's in band. He's a nerd.
Okay,
That's just how it
okay,
is.
Fair enough.
Also
So-
rapist.
Okay, so now that we've got at least
Wait a minute, Matt. You said the Neanderthals were jocks, and they were definitely rapists.
No, look, the evidence is not conclusive on that.
I disagree.
Yeah, rape didn't start occurring until.
Look,
I see the
look,
topic of the
1600.
debate. It's somewhere
Look,
in the
look.
distance.
Yeah, if we can maybe work our way back.
Oh,
So
wait, here, we want to work back. Nick,
Yeah,
do you
I wanna
think modern
figure out-
life is better for the jock and the nerd currently.
It's terrible for both of us.
so
I mean,
wait,
well,
wait,
not
Right,
both.
Who
right
would you
now,
say
life
it's-
is
who would you
terrible
say
for
it's worse
both.
for?
Honestly, it's equally bad. Like nobody's truly fucking good. Like it's like I said earlier, nobody's truly fucking happy anymore. I don't think that. Like, I think everybody's just content. Everybody's just confuses contentment with happiness now.
and what do
like
jocks have to
modern-
offer that is better?
Right.
Purpose.
Give me mine.
Purpose. What is this purpose? Give us an example of purpose.
To fight the dragon on the moon.
Yeah, the fight, like the
Okay, so
struggle.
violence.
It's not necessarily violence. It's this. It's
Oh
the
no,
struggle
let him
against all
answer.
things.
Well,
Yeah,
Well,
it's not necessarily has to be
I've known
violence. Like,
I've known Matt for like 9 years at this point. I understand where he's coming from. Sometimes the moon babble comes out instead of actual words.
you
yeah,
said
all
purpose,
the
right?
holes that I put in my brain with the spray paint huffing in my teeth.
Wait,
started coming up.
Napalm. Minus your brain worms. So would you say that
prefer
nerds?
gerbils.
Would you say that nerds control the majority of money?
I don't like
Yep.
what the
Yeah.
implications of this.
No, 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 no.
Nerds
Matt,
control-
answer the
would you say
question. Do you
nerds
think
control
nerds
more
control the
money than
majority
jocks?
of money? Mr. I will buy every bullet.
Do you think nerds control the majority of money?
You know what?
Let's go,
Yes,
buddy.
fuck you then.
Okay.
So nerds control the.
How do you like them
majority of
apples,
money.
you fucking...
Would you?
We haven't even
say-
gotten started.
Would you say, in the modern concept of living, that purpose can only be executed with a certain amount of money?
No. I
Okay,
find
so-
You don't
purpose
agree
in
that
my
full self-actualization
meaningful
for a
life, and
ton
I
of
don't have
people-
that much money. Like, look at my whole like moonshine fucking hobby. I picked
Yeah, I
up.
mean, he's already made the point before that a
I'm
jock
not even
is
drinking
able.
this shit. I'm just
He-
making it.
He made the point before that a jock is able to self-actualize, and like I guess the idea here is that the jock is able to fulfill that mythical strapping or whatever.
It's
the
not
fuck.
even bootstraps. It's just the ability to improve your life, even if it's modern.
Right, the ability to fight and manage to make your life better
not
through
give
your
up
own
on it.
hands.
Yes. It's like,
Yeah, that's
again,
it.
going with sports analogies. It's like a rookie fucking person where it's like you start off fucking shit, but you know being bad at something is the first step at being good at something. So you
So-
keep at it. And you
so between-
incrementally get to a point where you're happy.
So, do you think that nerds can't offer people purpose or can't provide something that would be tangent or at least relevant enough to it that would
I mean,
compensate
I
the
haven't
purpose?
seen it in my lifetime.
Okay, but if they could, let's say, like for
They've
example,
promised a
hypothetically.
lot of things.
So, who's made any? So, what kind of promises do you think nerds have made that have not been fulfilled?
That they would fix climate change. That's probably like the big one.
Okay, I
Yeah.
believe that it was a call to action that nerds had for everybody else, and said that if we did these things, climate change would be fixed. Like, unless you want an authoritarian structure that says instead of saying, "Hey guys, please do this thing so that we can fix this climate change," it's more like, "Guys, do this thing now, or I'm going to come down there and take away everything from you until you do this thing." Which may be
Yeah.
the jock position. Is that what you're trying to argue? Is that the nerds are more passive with their with the ideas and the way that they implement it, when jocks are more authoritarian in structure?
Yes.
Okay, and you think that that's a good thing,
Yes.
right?
So are the Nazis jocks?
No.
Well, they had an idea and were very authoritarian with their structure. So how are they not jocks? Got Kim Jong-un, right? He wants everybody to have the same haircut. He's got an idea.
Look, Kim Jong-un,
he's-
like, he made up a whole thing about how he talks to a unicorn. That's nerd shit.
Okay, but let's stick to the Nazis here real quick, Matt. Were the Nazis jocks? If not, why not?
They...
Come on, you can do
This
it.
is
I believe in
this
you.
is a very, very hard to swallow bullet.
My
man.
vote is
You
for
should-
nerds.
This
I
is,
think
like,
they're
I kind of
clearly
get
nerds.
why Lactoid did not want to swallow the
Listen.
Hitler bullet.
I've got a revolver here.
Wait.
It's all
I don't think
like-
Hitler
I
wanted to
don't like
swallow the Hitler
the
bullet.
word Hitler bullet. I don't like that.
Well, I don't mean the
Do you
literal
want to?
Hitler.
You kinda gotta take the L.
I'd love to have that.
Are you gonna not be able to swallow the Hitler bullet? You ridiculed Lactoid for this.
Look, nerds, like, fucking, they had designer uniforms. Like, come on. That's nerd shit.
But, like, in all
Hey,
of-
jocks
just
have
because-
drip. Don't
Yeah.
say that. Jocks have
Wait,
drip
wait,
too.
Jocks, one, have drip, and two, you already agreed that the gym cells exist when they have a tiny bit of nerd in them, right? So you
But
got.
Hitler's like prime nerd. Like Hitler
Every
gets locked
jock
up and-
across
hold on,
all
hold on.
football teams
Hitler
have
gets
their
locked
own
up and goes to jail,
uniforms.
and he doesn't get a jail body. This weirdo writes a book. That is a nerd activity. That is a like instead of working out, he writes a book. That's nerd.
Also,
you just
instead
gotta
of
eat the bullet on
pursuing
this
his
side, guys.
dream,
It's a
he's
nerd
just
that
like,
sucks. You just
I'm
have to
gonna
accept
just
that he's a
get
nerd.
aside 6 million people.
Who's the nerd that you're talking about?
The
Dean? I didn't hear you.
logistics to set up the Swansea conference.
Hitler.
That's a
Wait,
nerd.
wait, okay.
That's-
Hitler
that's the
still
nerd
could-
we're
wait,
talking
wait,
about.
Hold up.
That's a
Hitler
nerd.
still
No, I
could have
don't-
been a
I don't-
nerd.
By
Hitler
by
still could have been a
Napalm's
nerd, but, like,
definition.
the Nazi as a concept could have been.
That's
a
what
nerd.
I think. Nazi overall is like if you want to take in their weird Aryan fantasy, that's obviously a jock type idea. But the Nazis as themselves, absolutely,
As
like
they
the worst kind of nerd
actually
you can
exist are
possibly
Yeah,
be.
Absolutely
see, I
nerds.
think the Aryan
That's the worst
mythology
edition
stuff
of a
makes
nerd.
them even more nerd because they come up with like bullshit fucking like
Well,
ice
no, what you
magic
described
theories.
before. What you described before was.
No, you can't do
absolutely
that,
making
Matt, because then you have to. Yeah,
jocks.
you're gonna end up having to disregard like fucking Vikings as well from being jocks.
Yeah.
No, Vikings are jocks.
Look, the Vikings didn't know any better.
Yeah,
The
but
only
they
reason-
still
the
came
only
up with a
reason-
massive mythology.
Look, yeah, but they came. Obviously, they came up with it when they were high. Why would you think that would be a fucking big tree?
You
in a
can't
rainbow?
prove that. You can't
All
prove
right.
that.
I probably can't, but I will conflate that I can.
Well,
So
I don't know
if
how
we have
anybody
this-
on the nerd team is trying to escape from this. That you have to
Hitler
deal with the
actually
fact
wrote-
that like the Nazis are nerds. Like they are the worst
No, no.
manifestation of
I'm,
nerds.
I'm
No,
down.
wait,
I'm
wait.
down
According
with
to what he
admitting
said
that
before, they were
the individual soldiers of the Nazi Party were definitely nerds. However, their main goal and the entire premise of the Nazi Party was jockish. That's
Also,
pure
too, the
100%
Nazis
The
weren't
jock.
yelling.
aesthetics, what they want, they were wannabe jocks. They were
Half-
napalm. They were
if I'm-
napalm.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
already established that napalm himself is a wannabe
Okay, so
jock.
Napalm's a Nazi.
The exact same
Napalm
thing.
is
yeah.
a Nazi.
Yeah, there we go. Ipso facto,
Yeah, exactly.
Modens ponens.
I'm just
Well-
using Occam's razor here.
Well,
Really.
fuck, I'm not.
He just moved the stash. He just moved the stash to his eye. Look at that.
Wait, wouldn't I be a wereaboo then?
Wait,
No, you'd be.
why would you be a wereaboo?
Isn't,
Yo, real
isn't
question,
that,
Napalm,
isn't that the people who are,
USSR.
like
Is
obsessed
this
with
not?
like
Wait, wait,
Nazi
Napalm,
tanks?
you're a Nazi otaku.
Napalm, I'm trying to save you from the Nazi allegations. USSR, is this nerd or
Oh,
is
you're
this
never gonna
jock?
save him from the Nazi allegations.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
No,
you
after his
said when you
after his authoritarian pull, he can't leave that
Look,
one.
the USSR are jocks. Look,
USSR
authoritarianism
jocks.
can be.
Hey, but you already accepted the jocks can fight each other, and they often do, and that's a part of jock
Yeah, but
culture. So
Look,
So,
World War
just
II
because
was-
the USSR were also jocks does not mean
Well,
that because
all right.
the Nazis and the
World War
USSR
II
fought
was
that
a
they were.
nerd war.
So, wait, okay. So now, if we bring it back to your original topic of what you were talking about with who a jock is and who a nerd is, throughout history, jocks have either individually self-actualized or as a community collective have managed to kill millions upon millions, right? Because you're talking about communist, authoritarian structures. These are all going to be your jocks. Whereas in nerds, they've done some damage, they've done some bad things.
Look, I'm gonna
but their
stop you
death
right
toll
there,
is
Dark
nowhere
Apex.
near that number.
Communism is not jockish behavior because no jock would be caught dead reading the fucking manifesto.
Reading a book.
Reading a
Wait,
book, just
but the
generally
USSR was jock.
They might get into the first line because of depending on the translation. If it's the one with the spooky hobgoblin, they might be like, "Oh, hobgoblin, that's kind of neat."
Wait. But with that idea,
Wait,
then
why
really
would
communism
the
is
jocks
crazy.
be interested in hobgoblins?
Because monsters are cool.
And you're telling me that a jock doesn't want to write the manifesto?
No,
He
wait,
doesn't want
hold
to
on.
tell the world what he's up to or why? Like when it is that, you know, like I said before, jocks are very nostalgic. They're very
No,
want to
because
push their
jocks don't
they push their
need other
message.
people's validation.
That's exactly what jocks do. They push it throughout the whole thing. Like, hey, praise me.
No, we've
for
already
this
been over
thing
this.
Point of
that I
view.
do.
Jocks are the
Competition
types
is
of people who wear
validation.
their fucking jerseys well past their prime.
Yeah,
These
that is
guys
exactly what they are.
like, are obsessed with validation.
They're constantly looking for it.
And they're going to be the ones who are writing a manifesto. So I don't know what you're talking about with that being the nerd.
Look, thus far, all the school shooters have been nerds, and they're the ones writing manifestos.
Every single time we're going this way and Napalm goes that way.
This is how it works. This is how napalm discussions happen.
Yeah, I know. So now we're gonna get back to the. I mean, because what was the kid's name? What was the kid's dude down in Florida? is a gun-wielding guy. I mean, he's self-actualized. You have to admit, school shooters self-actualize. They know exactly what they want, and then they go in and they do it.
That's
They have a
not
plan, they
self-actualization.
stick to it with hard dedication.
Look,
Right to the worst possible outcomes. Let's make this clear for everybody watching.
Look, you don't-
This is
That's
horrible.
not
We don't want this. But
self-actualization. That's not self-actualization.
It depends. You could be prenatalist.
no, I'm saying, listen, if a school shooter is trying to eliminate problems in their lives, they have a goal, they have a plan, and then they go to execute it. By Napalm's own definition, this is jock behavior, not nerd.
Yeah, but by the definition of self-actualization, that's entirely an ego need that they're fulfilling. That's below self-actualization on the pyramid. They're all acting, especially the incels.
I'm sorry.
acting out
I'm
ego.
sorry. You do realize we're talking to Napalm who came up with these definitions, right? Not the
No,
Not Aristotle.
self-actualization exists
That's
outside
irrelevant.
of Napalm.
I don't disagree with you because I don't know that much about philosophy to understand the pyramid of crap. So I
It's
just use
literally
the
just
colloquial.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's like
Yeah.
No,
It's
I
pretty
understand, but I
basic.
went with the
Look at
colloquial
'em.
term for what
Look at the
self-actualization means
nerds
and what I
fighting
expect.
amongst themselves.
Yeah, like seriously, Gil, you're really not helping any. Yeah, you're on the wrong
'Cause I
side,
feel
dude.
like I don't want to agree with Napalm, but right now, like, you got to make a solid argument here for your side, and you guys are
Have I not?
Merely
Yeah.
coming up,
But for
merely
your
coming up
side,
with
did you
a
switch
plan. If it's
teams?
entirely based on the self and not
I
like
think I'm fencing.
it's actually not even based on the self. When
Hey,
it comes to
Napalm.
school shooters,
Look, I'll allow it. That's jock behavior.
Wait, Napalm, I have a quick question. Is betrayal nerd behavior?
What I thought.
Look, it's not betrayal when you realize you're wrong.
Well, no, it still is betrayal.
No, it's not.
Just 'cause it might be warranted betrayal doesn't mean you're not betraying someone. That's not how betrayal.
And what if you realize
justified betrayal.
What if you realize that it's betrayal before you actually do the betrayal? So you realize that what you're about to do is betrayal. Is it still betrayal because now you recognize it, or is it no longer betrayal?
What if you were betrayed first?
Yeah.
Then I think it's just like
Wow,
think it's
doing a
just setting the
negative
course
to
right.
support a negative. Way to go.
I think I was betrayed first by the nerd team. Now I'm switching to jocks. All right, Napalm, let's get him.
2 wrongs don't make a right, but 2 negatives make a positive.
Yeah, you probably also believe in retributive justice. Cringe shit, dog.
Who, me?
No, kill those.
Wait, isn't that jockish? It's retributive justice. Isn't
Yeah.
that kind of? I would
That's
call,
very-
I would,
that
I
would
would
be very
definitely
jockish.
classify that
That's
as
definition
jockish.
jock.
Yeah.
All right, you're right. I might have to come back over there now. Ugh.
Wait, so
Look,
that's a good question.
Man, you are just all over the place. No one
Full
can trust you.
cruelty,
The lack
Full
of firm
cruelty built
definitions makes this a
character.
pretty fluid situation.
Killdozer.
Fair.
But I'll
Are you
say this:
jock fluid?
at
I
the
mean,
end
look
of
at
the
the
day,
Irish. If
at
it
the end of
wasn't
the
for
day-
English cruelty towards them, they wouldn't be the colorful folk they are today.
the colorful.
Oh God.
Oh, you mean the selective? Oh crap! I better not. No.
Okay.
So,
We're
Napalm, do
about
you
to make a
think
modest
overall-
proposal.
Napalm, do you think
Napalm.
overall
no.
nerds or jocks lead to a better society? I think you'd clearly say jocks.
If you
right?
had to pick one or the other, I know your Shangri-La is both of them working together, but if only one of them could lead,
I'll be honest, I gotta go with the jocks.
and why is that exactly?
I mean, it's not the. It can't be the billions of dead or the millions of dead that are because of jock societies.
Kinda, because I'd be part of that.
Be part of the jock society or the people.
No,
that
he'd
were
be part
dead?
of the dead, and he's
I'd
fine
live
with
a short, brutal life, and I'd be fine with that.
So you want to live in like a Hobbesian like state of nature?
Yeah, and
Kinda, yeah.
what would be your definition of maximum good? What would be your definition of good at this point?
Well, hold up, because you said to living in like the state of nature, and I
Right,
think the biggest
that's
part of
him.
the problem with the state of nature. Yeah, I'm talking to Napalm. I think the biggest
No,
problem with the living in state of nature is that eventually you lose to the nerds, because the best jock still gets beat by a team of nerds. It's like even
Well, the tiger gets beat by the smart man with a spear every fucking time, right? So, well, not maybe bow and arrow and a bunch of other people. But the smart guy is going to come up with a plan that kills the tiger every time. The tiger is only going to be able to kill the man when the man is not prepared. So those who are prepared will
at best, your jock world that you live in is just like waiting
Again, this is why
until
the
the
best
nerds come along and
society
take it over. You just sit there and you wait.
This is why the best society is the synthesis, because you have the jocks going out to do the
Right,
hunting,
but we were
and the
asking you
nerds
to
doing
commit,
the gathering.
and we were
Yeah, we're
trying to
asking
figure
you
out.
say that exists. Wait, can we make this a more like modern discussion by just being like jocks do manual labor jobs like construction and say like that, and like building infrastructure and things,
I don't
and
think you would agree
nerds
to that.
do
Yeah,
director jobs?
Well, that can't be the case because
Well,
there's
if-
loads of
if-
nerds
if
that
you
are
wanna
stuck
break it down
doing
like that,
manual
you're just
labor
talking-
jobs.
You're just talking white collar versus blue collar. You're
Yeah,
saying which
But I
one is
think-
better.
and
I think
even
it's more
then, that
fundamental
would just be
for
ridiculous
napalm.
because like the amount of nerds out there that work like low paying like manual labor jobs are astounding.
Right, and
Well,
that
for
just
napalm,
boils.
the main issue
that
here is
actually-
actually going to fall down
advantage
to
of the
like
job
one
compared to
critical
the job.
little part of this, which is how is your society as a jock society ever going to avoid the fact that like the nerds show up, they take things over, and then they eventually rework the system to benefit themselves more than it benefits everybody else. I would say that nerds are like the number one people who are going to understand how to play and game the system in order to benefit themselves, and that's how you get concentration of wealth. That's how you get all the different stratifications in society we get are because the nerds figured out how to like elevate themselves above the position of everybody else.
And see,
How do you
to
avoid
me,
this as a jock?
Jocks
That's
I don't think
Jocks
you can.
can't
Problem.
beat that.
And I don't have
That's the
the
problem with
answer
the
to
jocks.
And that's
So
why
I think at the
ultimately,
base of society,
You don't
it's
have an
just
answer
like
to the
an
inevitable.
like,
Yeah,
and
it's
again,
integration of
that's
nerd.
that's ultimately why the nerd won out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's ultimately also because of their adaptability. Because a nerd can be a jock, and a nerd can be a nerd, but a jock can never be a nerd. It's like white collar and blue collar. You might be blue collar, but you're not going to be able to be. You may not be able to be a white collar, but a white collar can always take off his collar and put on a blue collar.
I don't know what the fuck you just said.
Yeah, me neither. I'm
So I work on computers. I can drop my job right now and go pick up a hammer and become a construction worker. A construction worker can't drop his hammer and go right there and become a computer programmer.
That's a jock mentality right there. To think
What's that?
To think that because somebody works a particular type of job, they are incapable of doing the higher level jobs.
No,
That's
I
jock.
didn't say that because
he's
of
not. No, wait. He's
No,
not
that's
saying that
nerd.
they are incapable of doing it. He's saying they would still have to go and learn like a profession thing, and he doesn't have to do that since he's already learned that profession. He can just drop the hammer and go do the manual labor.
I
Right.
disagree. There's
Computer
loads like people that takes like a massive underestimation of what like constitutes manual labor and what
Right,
it
but it could
does.
also be the lowest level working of manual labor.
Sure.
manual
I-
labor.
I-
manual
Even
labor
then,
starts
Wait,
there's
wait,
strict
I-
training that's required even for the
Wait,
lowest
hold on,
levels. Even
wait,
as a
wait,
McDonald's
I've worked
employee, you need to go through like a
construction contract
month of that
I've
shit.
worked construction contract jobs. They don't ask you for any training. They send you out into a fucking yard, and then you
Dude,
do like
I
the lowest level of manual.
I
labor.
did it for years. I was a construction worker. I go out there and I swing
As
a
have
hammer.
I been.
There's nothing wrong with it. And mind you, I have like a lot of respect for those guys that do it. But unless you're actually getting into shit that is dangerous, you can go into those jobs at entry level, zero skill. You cannot go, or you can, but it's very, very difficult to get into a white collar job at entry level with zero skill, zero capability.
Sure,
That
you
is
can
all I'm
use a
saying. I'm not saying
computer,
anything
but
is
that's
a
only
bad
that's
one.
only a
Like,
matter of previously invested time, though. What I'm saying is that there's loads of people out there who could get that training and
No,
enter
okay.
that regardless
All
of
right.
where they are on the workforce.
If I'm 18 and I take my time and I go to school and I learn to be a white collar and I learn to do a white collar job like computer programming, if I ever lost that job, I can go back into construction any day, anytime. It's just manual entry, get in there. Hey guys, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but point me in the right direction and I'll swing a hammer. That's all I got to do. But if you're blue collar and you're 18 and you get into construction, you lose your job, you now have to dedicate that time in order to get into a white collar job. I mean, it's a lot more difficulty. There is steps, and it's a matter of you can go to the other level, but it's very hard to get to the upper level unless you're prepared to dedicate that time. That's all there is to it.
right, but that's only a matter of dedication of time, though.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying
Okay.
anything different.
Okay.
There's
I'm
no
misunderstanding what your
good,
point is.
bad, moral, higher ground, or any of that other good crap. I'm not calling white collar jobs better than blue collar jobs. I'm just
I'm
merely
not
saying.
even saying any of that. I'm just saying that the indication of people not being able, like, the idea was we can't go for if you're a white collar worker, you can go to be blue collar worker, but blue collar workers can't become white collar workers. And I just
not
disagree with that.
can't. It's just more difficult, right? It's just like a jock becoming a nerd. A jock.
Sure, but that's only because of what has previously been invested. If you're 18, you decide to go to college and learn like
Yes,
a
yes.
trade and shit. Sure,
Right.
but that's just an indication that they didn't do that originally. They would still spend the exact same amount of time learning how to do the shit that you do.
Okay, so for me, I would look at it as the white collar job. Once you go through those steps, you have a fallback. You're already in a position where you have a net. The net is the blue collar job, right? That is always a fallback that you can utilize. Whereas if you go into blue collar job, you do not have a fallback. You need to climb you need to get to the white collar job in order to have the fallback of the blue collar job. And it's the same thing with nerds and jocks, right? So if you have a nerd can always become a jock. A nerd can always do the thing because nerds are basing their movements on intelligence. So what they have to do to become a jock is think like a jock and maybe even go through some physical workouts or whatnot. But a jock will not be able or will find it very difficult to become a nerd. They'll either have to dedicate time in order to study, and in the way that we're talking with this authoritarian structure, they may even find that to be beyond difficult, due to the, like they may not have the conceptual ideas to get behind it. But in either case, a jock becoming a nerd is very difficult. A nerd becoming a jock, not so difficult.
By the way, quick tangent, Matt, fuck yourself. We haven't yelled at you enough, so just want to make sure that happens.
Well, yeah,
Matt,
he's being quiet now because he knows what I'm saying.
And before you jump back into it, though, guys, if you're enjoying this very odd content, hit that follow button if you happen to be here. New to this, hit that follow button, make sure notifications are on so you know I'm going live. I do this 7 nights a week. We always have content for you either here or on YouTube. So follow the channel and consider subscribing to the channel. Only $5 to support this community, keep this up and running. All right, so if you're enjoying what we're doing, enjoy that. We always give you something interesting to be looking at. Then sub to the channel, or gift bits, or give subs, or use our PayPal button below. More of your money gets us to use PayPal. So all that stuff helps us out, allows me to do this. So yeah, thank you so much for anyone who would be supporting. You guys can continue.
Oh wait, one last thing before you guys continue. Twitch Prime is free.
Twitch Prime is free. Indeed, it is.
That's a lie. It's
Twitch
free
Prime is
after
free
you buy
after
it.
You have a
It's
predetermined pay
free
for
after you buy,
service.
but still, it's
But it's free.
It's a
It's free to sub to him.
It's
Free to
free.
sub to him.
yeah. But subs to the channel. With your Amazon Prime, says Prime Gaming, and 1 free sub per month. Use that here in this community to help us out. But thank you. Yeah, continue on.
Okay, so we really need to get better focused on here because Matt hasn't had to defend himself in too long. Matt, Spartans were jocks, but
Honestly,
they weren't.
now
the
that I
best
think
jocks.
about it, nah, none of the
No,
Greeks
just
were
not even.
jocks.
None of them.
Yeah,
So a group of
that's why the
people cannot
Romans.
be-
That's why the Romans.
Okay, the
were
Romans
first
were
culture-
jocks.
No, the Romans were culture vultures, and they were the first weeds.
For fuck's sake,
They
Matt!
stole.
Can you tell me a society that existed that were jocks?
Nah, honestly, no. There's never been one.
Just goes nah.
I hate you so fucking much.
I mean, before it
sometimes.
was even the cavemen, and
love
now
you,
he's not
buddy.
even giving that up.
Nah,
Wait. You're telling me that these societies aren't what you say would be the best alternative with this, like the synthesis between the two? You're just saying that
Genghis
they're just
Khan.
nerd societies.
Yeah.
yes.
Can you describe to me what an idea of a synthesis society would be? please, Matt?
Jesus Christ.
Have you read the Holy Bible, the Kingdom of Heaven? Are you familiar?
Did we
with
already
that?
go over this? He said
Are
it was
you
like- he said it
familiar
was
with
like
our
the
Lord
60s.
and Savior Jesus Christ?
Yes.
I think that
When those nerd
religion's for
Roman
nerds,
leprechauns
so-
nailed our Savior to a tree.
Wait, you already said religion's for nerds.
Nerd Roman leprechaun.
So wouldn't that be a nerd society and religion too?
Look, God gave us one chance, and we mauled his only son like a pit bull, and that's why he left us to die in this hot car of a planet.
Well, no. He only left jocks to die. Nerds are doing fine, apparently. They built every
What,
civilization.
you gotta
we've
go?
ever
You
known.
gotta go to Mars, a planet that's poisoned with a dead core. Have fun. They didn't even colonize Mars in Star Trek.
No, we're just
just-
gonna make our planet better. Fucking colonizing another one's stupid. We can just make ours better.
Oh, guess who's constantly talking about
Oh
going
no,
to
I've been
Mars?
playing a lot of
The
Mass Effect
nerds.
lately. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Listen, it doesn't make sense. If you build terraforming technology, congratulations, you fixed the fucking problem on your own planet.
Yeah, but then if you fix the problem, then people are going to want to repopulate, and population is no longer an issue. So then eventually,
Yeah, just
you know,
shoot 'em
you're
in the
just going to
head.
want
There
to.
you go.
Well, okay.
That's not how
Listen,
do
I
it.
want to expand to other planets. I want to meet aliens. Okay.
All right, that's fair.
Look,
Do you think we deserve
your sexual
that, Lundy?
fantasies
Do you think
aside,
we deserve to get off this rock?
Yes. If we manage it, then we deserve it. Yes.
Nah.
Just nah.
Okay,
I
wait,
hate
let's
you.
not run away. Let's not run away with it here. Please tell me what the synthesis society looks like. If you've already iterated on this, just do a quick little rundown, because if it can't exist, and like, or hasn't existed, like, I just want to know what it could be.
oh, I actually find
You know
this
what it'd
topic
be? Are you
that Prime's
familiar
put
with
on here
Steven
far better.
Universe? Do you
Yes, I'm
remember
familiar with Steven
okay,
Universe.
so you know the human reserve?
Yeah.
That.
I feel like that didn't answer jack shit.
It really fucking
Well,
didn't.
I don't care, because that's the only answer I'm going to give you. So
Okay, who watched Steven Universe?
trying to
Uh,
spin that
in order to be
shit
able to
into
shed some
epic
fucking
gold.
light on this one, because I have no idea.
What? Okay, so what is human reserve? I don't know that term.
Basically, it's a bunch of humans in space, and they get to fuck on a beach. Make up little songs.
Okay, so we're talking about people that are going to get on other planets and multiply from there.
Well, no, they were captured as like you would like a lion and put it into a zoo, except that there's no angry Chinese tourists pelting them with rock.
Wait, whoa,
What?
wait. Where did that come from?
You never seen those videos?
No.
There's videos of this shit.
There's a
Hey, Paul,
lot
you
of
need
like.
to be way more specific when you make the joke. It just sounded like you were just racist for no reason.
Look, I'm sorry. I thought everybody knew this was like a common occurrence where like Chinese
So-
tourists really like throwing rocks at zoo animals for some reason.
Oh god.
And somehow or another, the people are now the zoo animals.
No, it's zoo animals. It's like a kangaroo.
So, in your
Okay.
idea,
I'm so confused right now.
Yeah, yeah.
in jock society would be self-imprisonment in a zoo.
Yes.
Self-imprisonment.
Okay, well, you know what? No fucking wonder the jocks died out. I don't know.
Wait a minute. Self-imprisonment. So it's very jock of somebody to go lock me up.
Yeah, you never heard of topping from the bottom?
I think you could describe it in a different way.
I
but
think you should.
it's a
I'm
more
almost
fun way to
required.
describe it that way.
Topping from the bottom.
Yeah.
Topping what?
Think about a dominant power bottom.
Oh yeah.
So that's
Wait.
that's Jock Society is topping from the bottom.
Dominant from the bottom?
Yes.
See, that'd be the idea, like, jock society is, like, the nerds get the rest of the planet to ruin, and then the jocks get, like, their little nature reserve that they can, like, make cave art and fuck and throw rocks at each other.
Wait, Napalm. Do you think like the Native Americans were jocks?
Yeah.
Do you think Indian reservations are essentially just the thing you're talking about right now? In
No,
like,
because they're a
wicked
lot
racist terms?
sadder.
I think the idea of them it would be what he's looking for, but like the reality of them is not what he wants.
He's like in order for him to fit this, like the jocks would have to be endowed with some special power by Thor or some shit like that in order to actually facilitate a society that survives.
We were until God stopped talking to us.
I mean, the reason God stopped talking to you was because what? He liked the nerds better, or the nerds just kicked
Well,
your
I
ass?
told you, those fucking Roman leprechauns fucking nailed him to a tree. And he's never fucking forgiven us for it, as he shouldn't.
Oh my. Okay, so because of this, because of the crucifixion of Christ, God has stopped talking to all jocks, and the only people he talks to now are what, nerds?
No, he talks to nobody.
We got a whole lot of people that apparently
Seems
say
like
that
kind
he
of a
talks.
nerd.
Yeah, but they're all
Not gonna
liars.
lie.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're liars.
Is God a
Dishonesty.
nerd?
Key nerd trait.
I don't know if we're
Napalm
talking about
is-
self-actualization. God
This is
is
why
the
like
ultimate
nerds portray
self-actualized.
themselves as like if you look at
Yeah,
media,
God
nerds,
is.
like,
He's not saying that God's not a jock. He's saying that God doesn't care about us anymore because, like he
No,
said,
I just
the
wanna- I
Roman
just wanna
leprechauns.
know, is the Christian God a nerd?
Is the Christian God specifically a nerd, Matt, or is he a
no,
jock?
like. No, he's totally a fucking jock. Like, yeah, if you read his character arc from the Old Testament to the New Testament, he's 100% like a rowdy rule jock, like full blown tilt in his like early years.
But
and
in
then
the
he
new,
has a kid and he chills out.
I mean, he did wrestle with people. Like that's very jockish behavior.
He sent those bears to kill those fucking kids for
Nah,
making fun of
wrestling's
that bald
nerd.
guy.
so in the Old Testament, God is very much
Also,
jock
wrestling is
by
not for
your-
nerds.
right. So God is very much
It's
jock.
the only non-nerd performance art.
Okay, so Old Testament, God is jock. New Testament, where God says, forgive everybody, even turn the other cheek. This is not jock, right?
Well, that was his son.
Well, it's his son in his name. Right? So that's sort of like, if you got somebody standing out there that's operating as your PR representative and they're on stage telling people about you, you still have to follow what they say, because apparently you told them what to say.
I don't know. This feels very nerdy.
Yeah, that's right. That's sort of where I'm getting to. So I think he's losing. I think he's losing
like all of
everybody.
this.
He's backed off of every position. Every jock that he's claimed was a jock is now a nerd. And we're at this point to where I'm trying to figure out where the jocks are in this
Look, I've
universe
only
of his
thrown the
definition.
Greeks under the bus at this point.
Oh, you threw the
No,
Greeks,
and
the
the
Russians,
Romans
the
and
Nazis.
everything.
I never claimed those fucking nerds, the Romans. Do not put those words in my mouth.
Okay, no, but you've thrown
Spartans. You did
away
claim
all
Spartans for a
societies
minute.
through
I did claim
civilization.
Spartans for a minute. I will grant you that one.
All right, so like I said,
And then
throughout.
I forgot Spartans were
Oh,
fucking.
and
slave
Neanderthals.
and
Now
know
it's
who the-
not Neanderthals.
Actually, you know what? I do have a fucking like Xerxes the Great, Persia. They were fucking jocks.
Really?
But
The
they
Persians?
didn't farm their own land or anything. They had slaves.
No, the Persians did not have slaves.
No, the Persians had huge armies of slaves. What are you
That's
talking about?
300. That's a movie. Made
No,
by
not the
Frank
movie.
Miller.
The actual Persians.
No, the actual Persians outlawed slavery years fucking prior to their invasion of mainland Greece.
Hold on, I gotta look this up because I think
That's
you're
what I'm
fucking
doing
full of
right
shit.
now, too.
I think
Go
you're
ahead,
full of
look
shit
it up,
right now, Matt.
bitch.
Yeah, I think you're
'Cause
full of shit.
Remember, the devil's greatest fucking lie was when he told the truth, and it confused people. They thought it was a lie. Truth.
So we've got slavery going on up to at the very least 642 AD, as far as the Persians are concerned. So you're lying.
Matter of fact, they were one of the few that had chattel slavery.
He's so quiet right now.
Oh
Well,
shit, I got
that's
mixed up on when I was muted and unmuted. Also, so no, one Lundy, fucking that's AD, not BC. We're not talking about
yeah. This is
Persians.
going from 550. This is going the slavery and the Achaemenid whatever empire goes from 550 BC at the very least, and then there's slavery in pre Achaemenid. I don't fucking know. That apparently existed. So it goes before that up to at the very least 642 AD. So eat shit. You're wrong. Suck my dick.
Yeah, I think Persians stopped being a country at that point in time because everything I'm finding is like 238 BC to 224, 330 BC to 238 BC, slavery was there. Like it's just there's no non-existent. 550 is the earliest I've got. So
We're
slavery.
all able to use Wikipedia.
Huh?
I said
Yeah, we're all looking at the same.
We're all looking at
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia right now. I have no fucking idea. Listen,
Like
this
fucking
is
nerds.
one of the benefits of arguing with Matt is that he does force you to like look shit up and learn things.
Yeah, okay, but we're gonna go back to the same thing. The Spartans weren't really jocks because they didn't farm their own farmland and they used slaves. So now are the Persians jocks because they also had
I'm gonna
slaves?
have to if they were slavers, I'm gonna have to revoke that from them.
All right, so where are we at now?
So
with the
where are we
number
at on
of
how many
jocks
fucking
that have
societies
existed
were
throughout
actually
history?
jockish?
The enigma of a jock.
We're back to zero.
Yeah, I think we can all tell that.
All right, so there's no way to show you that a nerd or a jock is better than a nerd because the jock at this point in time is mythical. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or no.
Or no.
I love him. He's my favorite person.
Okay, so or no. Please expand on the or no.
No.
All right, so has there ever been a jock that has existed throughout the history of mankind?
We went through the presidents.
Yes, but we went through the presidents, but by the very
okay.
definitions, they didn't create
The
society.
the jock is not manifested, I believe, is what he's saying, through the idea of this civilization which exists. I think he would probably say the civilization itself is not very jockish, but individuals can be jocks.
Okay,
Yeah.
but will he class civilizations as nerdish? Because every time I turn around, he's been mentioning these
Is it a
civilizations are
binary, Matt?
nerdish.
Is it either jock or nerd that has control
No,
over
because
civilization?
it's like fluid. Because like some societies have more jockish behavior, some societies have more nerdish behavior.
You know, Lundy, I just about ended this damn thing, and you had to help me.
Hey, listen, we've only
wouldn't
been
have
at this
ended
for
it
like an
'cause
hour, okay?
I would not have fucking conceded.
No. Oh, I never. Listen, I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that when we walk away from this, you will not concede.
I'm gonna look. As long as I gave people some yucks tonight, I won. And since I have that fucking giggle puss right there, I've already won.
I need.
So we don't have societies which are jockish. We have individuals which are jockish, and yet somehow or another you want to tell me that because even though we have nerds who somehow get to the prominence of the top of societies and shape societies to be nerdish, they are not better than jocks.
But you have accepted. Hold on, because I want to go back to one thing, because you have said that the Vikings were definitely jocks. In spite of the fact that they have a mythology, you declare that they did that while they were high, and so it doesn't count.
Said they were jocks.
Well, no, you agreed. You said that they were.
Yeah, and then he backed off of it.
Well, you have to remember, Viking wasn't a culture; it was a profession. Like football player. Hence, Minnesota Vikings.
Oh, God. Okay, so there wasn't a Viking culture. Is that what you're saying?
Well, there was multiple Norse cultures and stuff. Like, they all partook in Viking to varying degrees.
They all partook in Vikinging.
Yeah.
That's like America's not a culture. We all take part of Americaning to various degrees.
I think would you say that, Matt? Would you say that?
No. The better analogy would be like if in 1,000
doing a little
years,
bit of Canadian.
America doesn't exist anymore. It's like the ancient fucking Norse culture, and people are looking back, and they just refer to American culture as like special military operation.
Wait, so we have the Norse culture. And the Viking what?
Like I said,
Viking
it's like,
way?
Yeah, Viking was like it was like the thing they did on the. I mean, I think it depended on like which clans and like which like parts of Scandinavia you're talking about, but like I know some of the Vikings were like, okay, now it's like the not growing time because we're experiencing like 17 months of darkness. Let's go raid some fuckers.
Okay.
And take them back as slaves.
Also, you know what the greatest thing?
Wait, are we
To me,
limiting
that-
Viking? Wait, are we limiting
You know what?
Viking only to going and getting slaves and then bringing them back? Is that the only
Also,
thing that's
you know what
Viking?
the greatest jock contribution the Vikings ever gave us, or the Norse, or whatever you want to call them? They were the first ones to codify rape laws.
Googling again.
Yeah. I'm not even going to, because I mean I could have swore that raping and like the only thing that they probably did was say that it was okay while you're invading a foreign country,
Well,
because they
is
did that.
that is the catch.
So the
Also-
Code of Hammurabi was the first documented case of anti-rape laws.
That you probably can't rape
Look, that's
a
like
nat-
fucking
you can't
pictures
rape
and
a
shit.
Viking
Did they-
woman,
did they
but
say
you
that?
can anybody else.
Did they
The
say
Code
they
of
cut off your?
Hammurabi is
Did they say you cut off your dick if you raped? I'm actually curious what the law was.
I'm curious, actually.
if they knowing the Code of Hammurabi, it probably was cut off your dick.
The rape of a virgin is property damage.
Oh shit! It was actually worse than I thought.
It was considered property damage against the father.
Oh, oh shit!
Oh,
I'm just like, oh,
God.
wait. So a virgin is the father's property.
Yes.
Oh,
So I,
I mean,
noticed like virgin is the qualifier there, not just any person who is.
It doesn't say what the punishment was, which is unfortunate.
I think we can
It-
all agree it was.
The Code of
probably cut off
Hammurabi,
the
though,
dick.
that's Babylonian. What are we
Well,
talking about with?
if it's property damage, it might be cut off your hand, right? Like
Probably.
if you're
Yeah, but,
stealing.
well, that
Yeah,
no, that was
actually, that's
stealing.
true.
Yeah, I know, but if it's
No.
stealing, if it's basically the same thing, property damage, then it might be cut off your hand.
I don't fucking know. Because I feel like I don't know, because I don't know jack shit about anything because I'm dumb. That's why I'm here. But I'm pretty sure they consider theft and actual like violence different from each other. I don't know.
Don't worry, Lundy. I'm the
Yeah.
dumbest one here.
But I don't think that they're taking. I don't
I
think that
beg
they
to
took
differ.
rape as in the way that we would use the term rape today. They really didn't give a shit, especially if it was foreign or from another land. I mean, the Vikings shouldn't rape or, fuck without consent other Vikings, but the English and anybody else that they invaded, absolutely free game. So I would.
I mean, that was kind of the case for just about everybody in Europe, like in the BCs and shit. Like just generally speaking.
Yeah, the Vikings just wrote it down on their weird fucking runestone.
Like you can go back and look at the philosophers of the ancient Greece, like talking about slavery, and they're just like, well, obviously we shouldn't enslave our fellow Grecian, but everybody else, fair game.
They're fair game, yeah.
Yeah, we've kind of started a lot of conversations off in very bad takes. Like,
By
are
the way,
people
I was
not
actually
okay?
thinking about it
Rules
more.
for
That probably
thee,
was
but not
the
for
point
me.
where the nerds ruined everything. Is when the fucking Greeks came up with debating.
What
Well,
about
every-
Diogenes
every
though,
one of
Matt? You
the-
called him a jock.
He didn't debate. He just
Yeah, he
fucking
did.
he strolled in, threw down a naked chicken, and was like, "Suck my dick, Plato. That's a man."
Wait, who did this?
Diogenes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if
Have
you,
no
I don't know if
idea.
you know the story. Yeah, so Plato was reporting that Socrates had successfully ontologically defined what it means to be a man, like a human specifically. And
Okay.
and the definition was like a bipedal what was it? A bipedal
A hairless bipedal.
a hairless biped. That's what it was. And so fucking Diogenes plucked all the feathers off a chicken, tossed it into the town square, and was like, "There you go. Apparently that's a man now." And so Socrates had to change
And then
it
he
to a
fought a
featherless
dog.
biped without a fucking with thumbs.
And then he fought a dog for some garbage, probably. My favorite thing about him is that he might have died by one day just being like,
No,
"You know
no,
what,
no.
I don't
Let's get
I
back
don't
to
want to
this.
live anymore." And he just
All right.
held his breath until he died.
So nerd and
Which
jock once
is
again.
the most jock suicide ever.
So we basically we see nerds create structure, nerds create society, nerds create the mass
they
transportation
complicate
system that we have in
problems.
this world. Well, they also seem to solve quite a few of them, right? We're talking about world hunger. We feed more people today than we ever have, and jocks didn't solve that. And I'm not saying that it's over. We're still working on it,
Yeah,
but
but that's the
we've made
problem
great.
the nerds created. More people live, more people have to eat.
How did nerds create that problem? Because that's an action of fucking, which or having sex, which you said is pretty much, throw it down. That's more of an action of a jock, especially if they're doing it quite more often. The nerd would be the one saying, "Whenever you want, baby," right?
What about Bill Gates?
So, wait,
though?
did you just say that the nerds are
How
cucks?
does
No,
Bill
not
Gates
cucks, but they
or-
would pass. They would be passive.
How does a
Okay.
Bill Gates or any billionaire who has a sex drive not count as a jock, right?
Well, we went over this near the beginning, which was just because you get laid doesn't mean that you're a jock.
Oh,
Right.
that's what but I thought that's what you were trying to mention there, right? Like,
Yeah, I
it's-
think
No,
that's
no,
where
no. No. So so based off of the way that he's defined it, I'm saying that the jocks are going to
hasn't
get
defined
laid
anything.
far more often.
Yeah, but
Jocks-
like the
Yeah.
here's the thing: the jocks would have like 12 kids because they knew 8
right.
of
So
them would die.
what? I'm talking about today. How many kids would jocks have today, and how many kids would nerds have today?
I mean, like the same amount. They both have access to like contraceptive. Well, at least for now. Thanks, SCOTUS.
But does a real jock use contraceptive?
I got you, Matt. I got you, Matt. I got you, Matt. I got you on this
Dark
one.
APAC might have got me because he knows.
No,
my
no, no,
stance
nope.
and-
I've got you on this one. A jock wouldn't use them, but he would force his woman to.
But
Wait, no. A jock would just be like, you know what? Pregnancy doesn't exist. As
Why
long
do
as
you
the-
have to make it? That's stupid. Why? Why? I
Because-
gave you an out, and you were like, "No, I want something dumber."
Yes.
Well,
that's-
I honestly, my impression of his jocks so far is that they wouldn't care, and they would just run around producing children and just be like, I'm not the father, and just keep going, right? And that's basically the impression that I get from them so far. So if that's what we're talking about, it's really jocks who are
No,
promoting.
jocks care about
and
their
adding-
kids.
Oh, jocks do care about their kids.
Yeah. If we're using the nature example,
Oh,
like
but
the
not for
lion,
self
the jock of the
actualization.
jungle.
Yeah,
like-
yeah. Lions don't give a shit
Like,
about their
what
kids.
does a lion do when they take over?
Eat 'em.
pride? They
Eat
eat
'em.
the baby lions because they're not theirs.
Yeah, and then if any one of their other ones come out with any kind of they eat them too.
Well, that
Right.
was Spartan. That was Spartan stuff, and I think that he would agree.
Yeah,
with
but
that.
no, I'm saying that lions don't have the fathers have very little interactions with their cubs. The only cubs that they really
No,
have
the
interactions
the
with are
males
other people's
basically-
cubs
The males are like the
or
ones like,
other lion cubs. not
protecting the
people.
cubs while the females are out hunted.
Yeah, generally speaking, while it is true that they tend to eat the cubs that aren't theirs when they take over a pride, like that doesn't really go against Matt's point in that jocks care about their kids,
All
not
right,
other
that's what I was
people's
saying.
kids.
That's not going towards his point either, that they care about their kids. Because just because they eat the kids does not mean that they actually give a shit about their own, which is
Look,
true
I
of lions.
think not
Lions
eating your
don't really
kid
interact with
proves
even
you
their own
don't
kids.
Give a shit about your kids,
What?
huh?
No, seriously,
give
I
me
had
the
no idea
huh.
what the hell you just said.
Yeah.
Oh
God, fuck
All right.
you, Matt.
So we're dealing with a situation where lions don't really take care
well.
of their
Look,
own
you
kids.
know me.
The
I don't
jocks,
have
the jocks don't really care.
Intelligence or reason or facts on my side.
I know.
All I could do is just frustrate and anger you.
All right. So we've got a situation where we've got the jocks and the jocks don't care about their kids. They're running around and they're just like, if they do care about their kids, that's a great thing. But the reality is that based on their temperament of wanting to live their life and do their things the way that they need to do them, kids are sort of a hindrance to that. So they'll move on. have kids, have lots of kids because they want to have lots of sex, and they're jocks, so they get to have lots of sex. So by that very mere definition, they are actually compounding the problem of starving children as compared to nerds who are not having as many kids and are actually solving the problem with mobile transit and actually being able to get food all around the world, and smarter plant growth and creating the scientific findings, and being able to make it so plants grow faster and with more abundance. So, and all together, man, I don't know how you can argue that jocks are better. You'd have to say that jocks are in this, they exist in the system, but they by no means are they adding
I
to
know
the
And
what
how
system.
are
he's
the
saying.
nerds doing all of this, Dark APAC? How is this all happening behind the scenes? Through plunder, slavery, and rape. Just like how it always happened. But again, the odd jock was honest about this shit. The nerd is fucking selling us the line that, like, we can save the world in a better way, but in reality, they're just repackaging the same fucking garbage.
Nerds do exactly what they have always done. They ignore where the hell the information came from and the possible bias of the information injected. They take it,
Yeah,
verify
that's
that.
why most people still
I-
eat Nestle
Hold
chocolate.
on, let me finish. They take it, they verify the information, they make sure
I don't
that
know
it's
what that
the
means.
data is good, and then they build on top of it.
Oh, go look up
That
Nestle
is
chocolate
the
later,
ultimate.
Lundy.
That is the ultimate idea behind the nerds. The nerds are, you might die, you might live a short life, you might not be around forever, but I'm going to be able to stand on your work and go further than you did, and then the next guy ahead of me is going to be able to do the same thing on my shoulders, and so on and so on and so on. Because at the end goal, nerds are going to be working to benefit all of society, not just the society they live in, but the society of mankind throughout time. Whereas in jocks are very self-centered and going to be focused on them now, and that's it.
Rebuttal.
Fuck you.
Napalm got beat by Dark Apex.
But in seriousness,
but in seriousness, he says,
yes.
as if he has another point to make.
Again, I contend that these nerds haven't solved these problems. They just keep complicating them. Like, look at the motherfuckers who talk about, like, carbon catching devices to solve climate change. We already have those. They're called fucking trees.
Well, the idea is to take what trees do, amplify it by like 100, and then put that machine in place to help.
How
the
about
trees.
this? We just plant more fucking trees instead of fucking cutting them down for fucking cattle land.
Well, you run into some problems with that, because the minute you plant more trees is the minute that you have to cut down more trees, because those trees will produce more trees. And as those trees produce more trees, you'll have an overgrowth in the area. And so you actually have to cut the trees down, which then adds to your carbon problem in the first place. So you're actually still stacking on problems. Whereas then if we make it out of steel, nobody has to cut down shit.
Oh yes, notable overgrowth area, the Amazon.
Actually, that's no lie. The Amazon
Really
is
needed to be-
constantly... So the Amazon is constantly overgrowing, and the natural fires that exist within the Amazon are occurring all the time, and that is actually what staples the growth. So it's constantly a grow, burn back, and it happens naturally in that cycle. And if we were to interrupt that cycle or add to it, we could potentially introduce a lot more problems. Like, it may not burn as much as it needs to, and then later on it burns too much.
Look, you know the
and-
jock solution to this? Stop fucking burning this shit for fucking cattle land and grow up and eat fucking bugs. It's protein.
Right. No, exactly. That is the jock solution. But the jock solution would leave millions of people who could not actually survive without those fossil fuels dead. That's the whole point.
Fucking. They're not fucking clear cutting the Amazon for fucking old. They're clear cutting it so fucking cows can fucking eat grass and fart until we eat them.
But if you're talking about getting rid of fossil fuels, you're not worried about just the Amazon. And I'm not focused on just the Amazon. I'm talking about everything, right? So you're talking about, let's get rid of oil. Let's get rid of gasoline. That means people in Africa will not have ways to heat their homes.
It doesn't
Right?
most of our fucking area.
Look, Africa is not the real fucking problem with climate change. That's another one of the fucking nerd things, is they try to fucking pin all this shit on the developing world when
No.
fucking China and the US are belching out fucking more carbon than all of it combined.
No. Africa is not a responsible party for the climate change, but they will be the greatest hit if we turn around and got rid of all fossil fuels.
Yeah, so we're so off topic, but like the topic itself is just anyway. Guys and gals, thanks for coming through. Support the channel by hitting that follow button, and make sure notifications are on. And consider subbing to the channel, gifting bits, gifting subs, or giving through our PayPal button, supporting this community. If you like the content that we generally do, we will have more content for you tomorrow with Reverie. So come back for that. It'll be amazing.